All right. I think it's morning here in Nigeria, so I will say good morning. So today we'll be looking at how we can extend what we did in our last video with respect to configuring a load balancer, which is an extension of our deployment of our DevOps tool. And today we'll be extending that by adding another layer, which is the continuous integration and continuous deployment using Jenkins. At the moment I've done it, I've deployed, and you can see everything is working as expected. If I make a bit of a change, what you're seeing here is uh, night build, which is around 10 p.m. So if I come back to my GitHub and I made some changes, I just make a bit of a change. So let me go back. I think this is tooling. Yes. So let me just make a bit of a change here. Just add Apache here just for demonstration purposes. So when I save, go back to my Apache, as you can see, immediately it picked it up, as you can see, and everything is fine. If I click on this, you can see it was also automatically deployed to the NFT server, which was connected. You can see connected to the NFT server. So our base configuration, based on what we did in the previous session with respect to load balancer, is still the same thing. The only extension we'll be having here is to add a Jenkins server. And basically what the Jenkins server, it doesn't really interfere with our current load balancer configuration. The only extension we are doing is just to ensure that we link our Jenkins server to our NFS, which is hosting the files that we are using for the web, which the web server is making use of. So we can use the Jenkins server to update that file once there's a update from GitHub. So that is basically what we'll be setting up. So our basic configuration. So if you are coming from the load balancer project, all you needed to do is just to add another instance for the Jenkins server. And in this video, I will be taking you through how to configure that. So um, let me just see. As you can see, this is my load balancer page. It's working fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this uh, load balancer server. So let's terminate it so that we can build it from scratch. So I'm going to close this since we are deleting that. So let me just wait for it. So that is gone. Let me go to the security group. So I want to quickly remove that too. This is the one for the Jenkins server. So hopefully you should be able to delete it now. Oh, we're still waiting for this to be completed. Let me just wait for it a bit. So let me pause the video and just wait for it to finish. So it has already been terminated, so I can remove. So let's remove let's remove this. Yes. Sure that it's not there. Okay, so let's remove this. Delete. Delete. Okay, let's ensure that it's not there. So it's not there. So we have our web servers, our load balancer, our NFTs, DB, and the likes. And if I come back to this page, you can see that even without the Jenkins, everything should be working perfectly. So if you don't know how to set up your load balancer, you need to check my previous video on this, on how to set that up. So let's come back here. Let me just refresh a bit. So I've done a detailed documentation on GitHub, so we're going to use that documentation to quickly go through the entire setup. So let me just open that up. Yes, I think this is it. So let's collapse that. This is it. So the setup is kind of straightforward. It's kind of built on the DevOps tooling website solution and the load balancer. So it's more like I said, an extension, and we are working with basically working with this. Let me see if I can expand that. So basically we have a DB server, an NFS server, 3 servers for the web servers, the load balancer. Then the client can connect through the load balancer to these web servers. Then we have the Jenkins server at this other end. So that's just our basic setup. So I left some, based on my self-study, on my understanding about the CI and CD, which is the continuous integration and continuous deployment. You can kind of read it to just have some background information about that. So we'll be configuring so let's set up the Jenkins server again. So I'll click on this. We are using Ubuntu for the Jenkins server. So basically I'm just going to say Jenkins server. So I'm picking Ubuntu. I'm leaving this build configuration, doesn't really matter. So I'm using a key pair. Then I'm ensuring that we used in our previous video, we used the European West 3A zone as our availability zone for this setup. So we are going to maintain this because based on what we have been working on, we want to ensure that all our setup are within the same availability zone for simplicity of this project. Although we're expecting in a real life situation, which in future videos, we are going to look at a situation where we set up web servers in different availability zones, and we can connect that with our load balancer. But for this purpose, we are ensuring that everything is within the same availability zone to ensure that we can simplify our setup. So I'm going to call this Jenkins server, right? Let me just label it properly. So I'm going to say security group. I just like to label things properly. Security group. Remind me. Jenkins server. So my SSL is my IP. For the Jenkins server, I will need to add this to 8080. I'm going to make it available to everywhere so that we can access the Jenkins server on the web. I think that's all the settings we need for this. So I click on this to create the instance. Let's just wait a minute for the instance finish. So right, so 8080 as you can see, then I set this to my IP, which is basically what I have there. So once it's set up, we're going to connect to the instance using our terminal, using the SSH command, and we're going to install the Jenkins in just a minute. So our instance is ready. So let's wait for it to show up. So we can connect to our instance by clicking on connect. So copy this. Ensure you are inside the folder that have your private key. If you can see here, you can see I have my private key, which is this. This is my private key, right? So since I'm already there, so I can just paste this. Don't know why they always add extra character to my command, but notwithstanding, we can just remove the extra characters, then enter. Yes, so we are in. So the first command based on documentation is this. You can just copy everything, it doesn't really matter. So I can just paste this here just to make it faster. I can just add a Y, but I won't need to press yes again while it's installing. So let's just wait for it to do its thing. It's a bit faster compared to Red Hat, so you should expect it to finish pretty fast. So let's just wait for a few minutes. It should be done. So what we are doing basically, what the command is doing basically is doing two things at the same time. It's done is installing, is updating the OS, and is installing a Java, more like a Java runtime, where the Jenkins is actually a Java application, so you need a Java to be able to run the application on your instance. So instead of installing the whole Java package, we just install the Java headless, which is a lightweight version. So that has been done. So let's now install the Jenkins itself. So first of all, we need to install, we need to add the Jenkins official repository. So we copy this to add that to our package. So copy this. That has been added. Then now we can install. We will need to update and do installation at the same time. So I can just clear my screen, copy that to command and paste. So that should be fast enough. So let's just wait for it. I think it's done. Yeah, so it's almost done. So while it's still doing that, the next thing we want to do is we want to start the Jenkins server. At the same time, we want to enable it in such a way that when the instance is rebooted, the Jenkins server can start automatically once the system comes back online. So let's just wait for some few minutes. It should be done. Yeah, so it's done. So paste the next command. It's kind of straightforward. Then you can choose to check the status of the Jenkins. So let's just do that so that we're sure that our Jenkins server is working as expected. Right, so everything is working as expected. So let me just clear this. Just close this. Alright, so that is done. So now the Jenkins server is ready. You can just go back to see this. So let me see. So let's just go to the home page of the Jenkins server. So I can just do 8080, sorry, 8080, which is the port we open to the internet. So if everything works fine, you should see the initial page, which is this, and then you'll be asked to enter your administrative password. So you can get your the administrative password by copying this command. Go back to your terminal and paste the command. Go to retrieve your administrative password. So you can copy this, which is your administrative password. Come back to the page again, and you can enter, which is fine. There's no need. So you have two options. If there are maybe selected plugin, you don't want to install all the default plugin, but for me, I'm just going to go with the suggestion. So click on this, wait for it to install all the necessary packages and plugins so that we are ready to go. So just give it some minutes, everything should be fine. So we're going to install a pipeline, Git, the SSA build agent, email extension, GitHub branch source, right, workplace cleanup, and some other libraries and the like, so plugins and the like. So let's just give it some minutes. I think it's almost done. Right. Right. So I think it's yes. So it is done. You'll be asked to create an admin. Although I like to create an admin, for the sake of this, we'll just skip this. Just keep this. Then pay attention to this, which is your URL, which is exactly what you have here. So it's not really a problem. So you can just save and finish. Right. Then just ignore this for now because you will not set up the admin username and password, which is actually a good practice anyway. So we are currently in our Jenkins server, as you can see. So if everything goes well, which is exactly, you can, like I said, you can create your admin username if you want to, but if not, you can skip, at least for demonstration purposes and the likes. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add our Jenkins to the webhook configuration on our GitHub, right? So what I need to do is just look at the URL of the Jenkins, just copy it exactly. So I can go back to my GitHub, to the repo, the project repo. I'm trying to connect to Jenkins. So this is the project repo per se. So you go to the settings, you click on webhook. Although I already have one, right? But you can just choose to delete this so that you see how it works from scratch. So you click on add webhook. So you can paste the URL. Then I think there's a GitHub part. Yes, so just click this and just add this here, which is fine. Then the type will be JSON. Then and that's just click on add. Right. Now, to be sure that what you have done is working fine, you come back here and click on item. So we'll call this tooling. You click on freestyle projects and click on OK. Then get it for it. It's going to load up. So you can write some description, testing this CI CD pipeline, right? So you can just give it a good description. So you come down to this source code management and click on Git. Then you go back to your repo, click on the code, then you click on this, you copy the link, then you come back here and you type in your that. Then for the credential, you click on add credential using Jenkins. Then ask for your password. Then just write your username, then the password. And that's just it. So you click on add, right? And that's fine. Then you select the credential you are using. Then apply. Okay, before you go, if you look at this, you discover that I'm using main as the branch name, so ensure that that is also the same thing. So you can apply, and that's just all you need to set for now. So you can save. To test that the webhook is working, you can just click on build, right? You should see this here, as you can see, it's building at the moment. You can see, so successful. It shows that Jenkins is successfully connected to your GitHub, which is a good thing. So, which means that you have been able to achieve this. But what we want to do is we want to ensure that what we did is just to manually trigger the build, but we want the build to be automatically triggered whenever there's a change in the main branch. So once there's a change in any of the files in the main branch, Jenkins should get that update and automatically build the entire source code. So to achieve that, we go back to the configuration. Then what we are looking for is the trigger. In that trigger, we are going to click on this, right? Then we want some post build action, which is basically you just want to create an archive, and then we are going to type that you archive the entire code you retrieved from GitHub, and we save. Now to test if that is working, I'm going to do a bit of, I'm going to reset the code to what I initially have from, although I make a bit of change to mine based on some of the things. So I just want to restore the code. So I'm going to copy this, which is the initial code that we have, which is exactly what you will have in your code as well. So let me just set this. Alright, so let's build. So I made changes to my source code. Now you can see that automatically it's building and it's successful, right? So Now you can see that you can see there's an update to the function.php file, which is exactly what I did. So you can see that this is working perfectly, which is perfect. But we just don't want, so when this happen, this is actually downloading from GitHub, and archiving the entire output. You can click on this to look at the archive. So this is what is extracting from GitHub and is keeping this on the Jenkins server. But we want this, we want the file, what we have worked or what we are working, we want to deploy this file on our server, which is our NFT server. So we need to, for us to be able to do that, right? So far so good. We have been able to achieve this. We have been able to achieve this. Do the trigger. We have been able to achieve this. But what we want to do, so the next step is for us to configure the Jenkins server, that after it builds, you should be able to copy the entire file and move it to the NFS server so that the web servers can access it. As you can see, my web server is still working perfectly. So something is going to break along the way. So, but I'm going to explain why it breaks and what we need to do to fix it. Now, on the dashboard, we are going to go back to manage. Then we are going to look for plugins. So in the plugin, we are going to go to available plugins. So we are searching for Puppy over SSH. So select and we install. Then down here we are going to say, you can say restart, for it to restart our Jenkins once the installation is done, which is fine. Just give it a minute for it to properly restart. So once you restart the Jenkins server, it will reload automatically and you can continue with what we are working on. Now, so far so good. Everything seems to be working fine. So the next part is to move the entire. So we don't have a login. We've not set up a login, so I can just go to Jenkins. We did not set a login. It's quite interesting anyway. I was expecting it not to be asking us for login, but now that it's asking us for login, which is highly unusual. So if you find yourself in a situation like this, which is totally okay, so what you need to do is go back to your Jenkins server. All I need to do is copy this, copy the first two parts, and you see the, I'm already logged out. So let's log in back. So I go to CD. Now, all I'm looking for is the configuration file. So I'll do sudo nano config. Then you'll see somewhere here where it said true, security to true. So we are going to set this to false. Then I'm going to save. Then I'm going to restart my Jenkins server. To do that, I have to go back to, okay, I think there's no points. do sudo system ctl start Jenkins. This should do the trick. So let's just give it time. That should do the trick. Yeah. So we can go back here and just remove the entire login section of the URL and just press enter. It should allow us to, yes, continue what we are working on. Fine. Can set your password later on, but in this tutorial I don't want to set the password. So you have installed the publish over SSH. So to configure that, we go to manage Jenkins. Right, so if I want to set up your security, you can totally set up that here. And when you are done, you have to go back to the configuration file and set it back to true. So we won't be going through that in this tutorial. So just leave that out. So we are looking for the SSH configuration. So this is where we are looking for. Now, a few things. Let me just exit. So since I have my sample this, I can just copy this entire private key contents, right? Then I can just paste it here. Ensure you copy it correctly. Then so before I continue, I have to come back to my NFS server, ensure that it allows so I copy my Jenkins private IP. I'm going to add it to security group of my NFS server. So security group, here, it. So this is my IP address. So this is the other one. So I'm going to remove this, which is the previous /2. It's fine. So I just save it. So which is fine. Now go back to my Jenkins. I'll add it. So I'll call it. You can call it whatever you like, but I will call it my NFS server. Then go back, get the private IP of your NFS server. Oh, it's here already. So just take this. So put the IP here. The username. If you are not sure of the username, just select your NFS. Click on connect, right? Click on connect. Pay attention to this code, right? The first part here is your username, so I copy that, put that here. Now, if you remember that in our NFS server, we are interested in command point apps, which is where which is where the Jenkins will be copying the files to. To ensure that everything is working fine, we'll click on test connection. If you see this successful, it shows that everything is fine, so you can save. Then you click on this, which is your Jenkins job. You go back to configure, then we had additional posts build action, but this time around we are adding send build artifact over SSH, which is exactly what we want to do. So when we do that, immediately has picked our this, so you can select this just to be sure in case. I know there's likely going to be an error, so to be sure of what the error is, then you select all files. Which file do you want to transfer? Double asterisk actually means select all files, so I can say touch and save, and that's just it. So for me to be sure that it's working fine, I'll just click on build, just wait for it, and this is my build, right? This is my build. Now I want to quickly show, well, the build is working, but there's likelihood that your build might not work, and the reason why it's so is this. Let's quickly go back to one of the, let's go back to, okay, let's go back to one of the servers. So let's connect. The reason why it will not work is simply this. So let me exit this. Let's paste this. This thing's taking too long, so let me check my security key, or my security group rather. Let's delete this. Oh, no wonder. Alright, so let me cancel it. So it's there already. Now, if you remember, during the load balancer, we have this tooling folder that we actually extracted from GitHub. Now, according to the instruction there, we're supposed to, so let me just go back to, let me go to my, right, so let me remove, okay, let me just clear everything here for argument's sake. So let me just say cd sudo remove first. Yeah, I want to remove everything. cd www. So there's nothing here actually. So let me go back. cd to tooling. So ideally, you're supposed to copy this HTML into that. So what we'll do is do cd. So this is what we did during the load balancer. We did sudo cp cursive. That's what we are copying. We are copying it to the file. Right. So if I go back to, so we have this file now, which we automatically update our NFS. So now this is what you have. This is what you have earlier on, And the reason why this is this, the reason why this, if you look at this, if you do to your, you will discover that the owner of this file is root. If you are coming from the load balancer project to this is what you are going to have, right? So if you do, or based on this, if you go back to your Jenkins and you try to build, right? Now it's going to fail, and if you check the console to kind of see why it fails, right, you'll see that it was able to copy everything, right? But if you see, as it was coming, it was, you know, it copied everything. But try to copy this, seed into this, but it could not copy that. Then it copied this one. So the problem is this. Now, the way you can address this is quite simple. What you can do basically is to make it easier. So what you can do basically is come back here and do this. You find all this file here. So what you can do basically is to sudo remove this HTML. Do this. The HTML file is not there. Then go back to your this and rebuild. That should fix the problem. Now it's fixed, which means that you now have the latest file in here. So that should fix the problem. Now the other problem you are going to have is based on the fact that you are not pushing what you have in your on your GitHub to your NFS server, your production server, it will override the previous configuration, the database configuration you have in there. If you remember, if you have been following the tutorial, we kind of had, what was the load balancer? Kind of have some configuration. Let me see if I can still see them. Okay, I think the configuration is coming from this tooling. Yes, so it's coming from this tooling where we change something in the, see, yes. So yeah, we said you should edit the function file and we should change this, right? But if you check your, which is, the change was done on your local copy, not on the GitHub copy, which means that by the time you are building and pushing from Jenkins, building from GitHub, pushing from Jenkins to your production server, is going to override that configuration, whatever, and it will restore you back to this, which is the one you have in your GitHub. So to resolve that issue, I'm just going to edit this. So which means that at the moment, this will fail. As you can see, it will fail. So the problem is that configuration. So what you just need to do, as you can see, all you need to do is come back here, edit it properly, ensure that this is pointing to your DB private, IP. So I'm just going to look at my DB server. Okay, this is my DB server. So I'm going to just copy this, come back here, and show you the same thing. Paste it, then save. Automatically Jenkins will pick that update up and updates the file on the server. I just want to show you the same thing. So if I come back to my Jenkins, you can see it automatically picked that up and immediately it pushed. So if I come back here, this should now work. Now this is working fine, and because of that, we have come to the end of our Jenkins project setup. Thank you very much for watching. I'm hoping you can like the video. If you have other comments, you can comment. You can drop a comment in the comment section, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Thank you.